From LALATE headquarters in Santa Monica, this is Afternoons LALATE.
It's a big Afternoons LALATE, as you have done it, Purple Power, as the fourth stimulus check is now front page news. The President of the United States is now overseas today to sign into law a major ancillary part of the fourth stimulus package, as the fourth stimulus check is being talked about by the White House, by the Congress, by the House, and the Senate. In this recording, we'll be going over the fourth stimulus check, what the Democrats propose to give you, how much you're going to get, and when they're proposing to get you that money. We'll be going over the economic data that came out this morning that was shocking. Shocking. Two numbers that were just jaw-dropping. The last time we saw one of the last numbers, 30 years ago, before we went into the Great Recession. So we'll be going over the implications of that number for fourth stimulus. It's all good news. Then in the fall, we'll see fifth stimulus. But in this recording, we'll be seeing it as well. I'll be going over how much you're going to get under fifth stimulus and why the president's additional add of $1 billion to the benefits program will be wonderful for this fifth stimulus. Then we cut to the thousands of dollars you can get right now. I'm excited for you, as fourth stimulus is front page news. I'm talking about it. You're talking about it. The donut guy's talking about it, so that's good. And it's Afternoons LALATE, and we're going to be talking about it as well. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. How are you? It's a beautiful afternoon in which I'm very out of focus. Why am I so out of focus? Well, it's one of those days. It's a beautiful afternoon here on Afternoons LA. There I am. I was starting to look like Mitch. No. So hope your afternoon is doing well. How's the weather where you are, and where are you tuning in from now that you can see me? How's the weather where you are? And boy, it is sunny. That is why I clearly went out of focus during opening credits. It is really sunny, and it's warmer, as you can tell. The Purple Petunias has passed on to another life. We're trying to bring her and him back to life, but it is heating up. So I seen in some of your comments it's heating up where you are as well. So drop in the comments how the weather is, and I hope you're having a beautiful day with you and your family. In this fourth stimulus check update of 2021, we'll be going over the breaking news as the President of the United States is overseas today, right today, to sign into law in person in Europe with the G7 countries, an ancillary part to the fourth stimulus package, and we'll be going over what the Democrats will be giving you as they propose under the fourth stimulus package. The reconciliation process has begun. All Democrats are on board. Joe Manchin's on board. They're pushing to the finish line. We'll be going over what is at issue here and the calculations at hand. Then we'll also be going over the real shocking economic news that came out this morning. It's just mind-blowing. So you have to understand that in the context of where we are. It's especially important for fifth stimulus that comes up in the second half of this video, in which we talk about inflation, because this number is all about inflation. And it's just, oh my goodness. Yeah, it's one of those numbers. Then, in the middle of this recording, we go over the thousands of dollars that you get right now across the board from your city, county, and state. We'll be going over that finally. And then lastly, my personal comments about fourth stimulus and my personal comments about what is going on in the meme stocks, how it's going to end very badly, very quickly, after comments from the SEC chairman about regulations. Oh, yeah. And with that, subscribe. This is LA, the only 24-hour day, 7 days a week financial news channel, from Wall Street to Main Street, from my home to your home, coming to everything you need to know across the board. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record in 1 year for a reason. We're here for the most in-depth, accurate, and fun broadcast there is. So hit that subscribe button right now. Also, like this video. 3,000 likes. Never forget to hit a like on a video, because it helps in the algorithm rankings. And then also consider becoming a member. Let's get right into that fourth stimulus package with the House bill and the Senate proposal from the Democrats. The House bill provides a monthly stimulus check for the remainder of the pandemic plus 1 year. That House bill from the Democrats proposes a stimulus check every month for the remainder of the pandemic plus 1 year. That's the Jalopal bill. The Senate proposal provides a stimulus check from July to December. Let's look at the monthly amount. The monthly amount from the House Democrats is $2,000 the first month, $1,000 thereafter. The Senate amount on a monthly basis is unknown, but word on the street is it's this. Wow, now that is incredible. $2,000 a month over 6 months the Senate Democrats propose to give you, or $1,400 a month over 6 months the Senate Democrats propose to give you. Now let's go back to Jalopal's House bill to understand why the macroeconomic factors may modify it. If you're on the live chat just after 3 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, get ready to vote House or Senate and tell me where you're tuning in from and how the weather is. I'd love to see your comments. And if you're international, give me a big holler. So the House bill is pandemic plus 1 year, but legislators may consider the pandemic is over. That would reduce the House bill to 1 year, which is 12 months of stimulus checks, or $13,000 from the House Democrats compared to this in 6 months from the Senate Democrats. Okay, get ready to vote which one you like, House or Senate. House or Senate. Tell me where you're tuning in from. How's the weather? And vote House or Senate. So who gets this fourth stimulus check? You do. The Democrats propose same eligibility as the third stimulus check. Single individual, $75,000 or less, the Democrats would give it to you. Married couple, $150,000 or less, the Democrats would give it to you. Double it, though. Household 4 or less, you would get the fourth stimulus check. Quadruple it. And if you're on benefits, the Democrats would be giving you a fourth stimulus check. SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, or veterans benefits, or any other type of benefits as well. The fourth stimulus check is not an income, so it's not taxable. The fourth stimulus check from the Democrats would not come in a wave of checks. It's not waivable, so don't wave at it. Hi, check. No, it's not going to wave back at you. The fourth stimulus check would have the same amount for all individuals the Democrats would propose, adult dependents, minor dependents, and everyone else across the board. And the final vote, the Democrats represent, and especially Chuck Schumer, no less than 6 times representing, that the final vote would be in the month of July. So the Senate Democrats represent, you would get the first check in the month of July for the month of July, and then continuing thereafter. And there you go. That is the first of 3 parts of the fourth stimulus check updated 2021 in this video. But coming up in a second, you're going to be hearing the new breaking news this Thursday about what is going on the fourth stimulus check, the fourth stimulus package, and the whole process. So stay with me, but first here's a preview of the second half of this video, and it's fifth stimulus. Fifth stimulus got a real interesting kick in the leg today as we learned some economic data in a week in which there's really not a lot of economic data. The Federal Reserve is not talking. There is no new corporate earnings, so we got something, and we in fact got 2 things. And in the second half of this video, we'll be going over why the raising up of your benefits lifetime will potentially be even more because of this big number that was released this morning. Oh my goodness. Yes, it's very good news. Let's now get to some big money. It's your money. And you know how we do it on this channel. We are cashing checks. We are not tracking checks. You don't post a comment like, what day am I getting a check in July? And what day are they sending out the check? No, because there's thousands of dollars of money for you to get right now. The third stimulus. Billions of dollars. In fact, there's $350 billion that is available for you right now. Well, not all for you. This is not The Price is Right. Sharing is caring. This is not the finals. This is not the showcase showdown. No, it's sharing is caring. So it's for everyone. It's coming from the federal government to your cities and counties and states last week and this new week. So reach out to it. Let's go over all the details, but first get a pen and paper or a Crayola crown, and I'm wearing Crayola blue today. Coincidence? I think not. Get that Crayola crown or pen or paper ready because I'm going to go over where to get that money. And remember, each place has different eligibility. So if you reach out to one and they say no, reach out to the next. They also have their own pots of money. This money is yours, and it's rent, about $5,000 of rent, 4 to 6 months of rent. It is money for utilities. It is money for mortgage assistance and mortgage help, and it's yours. It's third stimulus, and it pays you a fortune. When third stimulus was passed, I said, you're going to get a stimulus check of $1,400, but you're also going to get $5,000 to $20,000 of additional money that is yours. Here we go. Let's get it. You're going to reach out to your city hall, your city housing authority, your county hall, your county housing authority, your state hall, your state housing authority. And you're going to ask for rent assistance because of COVID or mortgage assistance because of COVID. You don't use words they don't know. No, don't do that. Don't use words like stimulus. They don't know that word. And don't use the words like, Javita Light. They don't know that either. Unless they're a fan. So they don't know those words. Just use words that they know. One viewer in the very nice comments on Overnights LA, which of course is every night on this channel, said, "Thank you. I am going out to my city hall tomorrow morning." I responded back. I said, "Great job, but you're not going to one place. You're going to 6 places because I don't want you to go to City Hall and get a no and then stop." So that's how we do it. Congratulations to Tim and Linda who got this money. I'm excited for them. If you got this money for rent or utilities or anything I'm covering in the video, jump into the live chat right now saying, "I got it." Whether it's $100 or $1, because it inspires other viewers. We love success stories, whether it's $100 or $1,000. I've gotten viewers $10,000, $15,000 for rent, and I've gotten viewers $100 for rent. So I want every success story to manifest itself because it inspires us all. All right, the next pot of money is wonderful, and this is an example of being inspired. On Monday, I got inspired when one viewer said, "I got $585 a month," I think she said, which is a fortune. I mean, that's $6,000 to $7,000 a year. And what is it? It's SNAP. Congratulations to Lynn Glenn, her son, and her mom who got it, and Gail, and everyone else that got it. If you got it, drop in the comments. It is SNAP. What is SNAP? It is money for food. It is money for food. How do you get it? Department of Agriculture. Reach out to them to get it. Eligibility is generally about the same as a stimulus check. How much is it? Family of 4 in Hawaii, $16,000 a year. Why so much money? Because of 2 wonderful executive orders, one from Trump and one from Biden, that raise everyone's benefits up 15% between now and this coming December. So go get it. $15,000 for SNAP in Hawaii for a family of 4. Some money for rent, $5,000. Look, we are killing it. And we're 12 minutes of this video. So I've got a little bit longer, which brings us all back to the exciting news about forced stimulus. Forced stimulus has a lot of big developing details in the last 48 hours. Let's go over what's happening right today. Right today, the President of the United States is in Europe for his first international tour, his first as president. And what is he doing? Having them sign into law, and he will be signing into law, an ancillary part of the 4th stimulus package to get forced stimulus and the tow truck and the tow hitch over the finish line. I'll be going over that in a second. But here's what you need to know about where forced stimulus is right now. To start, we're in the reconciliation process. The reconciliation process will end by December 4th. The reconciliation process has all Democrats on board, including Joe Manchin, Kristen Sinema, and they will be finishing by July 4th. Now that you know where we are, let's go to how we got there. The Friday before Memorial Day weekend, Chuck Schumer confirmed 3 reports of this channel. 1, the reconciliation process has already begun. 2, the reconciliation process will not be held up due to any bipartisan negotiations by the president. And number 3, the reconciliation process will end on July 4th. How did we get there? Well, what's important to know is the statements by those House Democrats. As you sit here this Thursday morning, the president is talking about stimulus checks. The House and the Senate are talking about as well. In the last 24 hours, the president's team has said, when asked about whether he would support for stimulus checks, he said, "Yeah, that would be great." Understand that if he has his roads and bridges in the forced stimulus package written by the legislators, and they add in stimulus checks, he's not going to veto stimulus checks. No one vetoes stimulus checks. That would be ridiculous. All you have to have them done is get them in there from those House or Senate Democrats. So the great news is that the president's on board. What's going on with the House and Senate members about stimulus checks? They're talking about it nonstop. And also print media. In fact, everyone is talking about stimulus checks, whether it's the president, Senate, or House, with the exception of one group. Yeah, the GOP. They're not going to be talking about it because they're not part of the reconciliation process, and they're not giving you a stimulus check. All right, now let's go to the incredible details of how we got there. Jalapal wrote Schumer a letter over a week ago saying, call the vote, Chuck. But what's important about the letter is that the letter was co-signed by 12 House Democrats, who are among the 100-plus House Democrats who had written the president a letter a week earlier saying, when we do the fourth stimulus, Mr. President, we're going to put monthly stimulus checks in there. Oh, my goodness. Now, that is good. Does it get better? It does get better. When 7 days ago, 7 House members wrote the president themselves and said, when fourth stimulus gets written up, we are going to put monthly stimulus checks in there. Who are these people? They are on the House subcommittee. They're solely and exclusively responsible for writing stimulus checks. Oh my goodness. So they wrote the first stimulus check? They did. Did they write the second? Yeah. Did they write the third stimulus check? Yeah, they did. And they're writing the fourth stimulus check? Yes, they are. And what is the other confirmation we got in the last 24 hours? That the House subcommittees are marking up the bill. Oh my goodness. Oh, I'm about to faint. And then we get to the incredible details of where the president is right now. The president is right where he is right now because of the events that I had been reporting to you over the last 3 weeks. You see how I go into detail. Why? Because every element is important for the fourth stimulus package. Fourth stimulus is paid for by raising the U.S. corporate tax rate of 21% higher. As soon as the president proposed that for the fourth stimulus package, he also said, I'm going to have to get the global minimum corporate tax rate higher. What is that rate? It's the rate in other countries. Why? He said, because if I raise the U.S. corporate tax rate, a business in the U.S. may leave the U.S. and go to another country where it's lower, like France. The way I saw that is getting the G7 countries to raise the minimum global corporate tax rate so no business would flee from one country to another to find a lower corporate tax rate. And then that Tuesday, I told you several weeks ago that the president had reached out to the G7 countries and tentatively got them to agree to yes. Great news. Well, then I also told you the president had told his staff that when fourth stimulus is finished and into law in July, then after that, like August or September, he will go back to the G7 countries and have them sign that into law. And once they do, he will be able to drop the U.S. corporate tax rate closer to where it is right now and also send out the stimulus checks because we would be too high to be competitive on our corporate tax rate. Well, that was up to Friday, this last Friday. When the president announced that he was going to have a meeting with the G7 countries last Saturday, I said, something's happening. Tune in to Mornings LA to watch me on live to announce what happens. And it was announced. The president had shocked everyone and gotten a deal with the G7 countries to sign into law the global minimum corporate tax rate of 15% this week in person before fourth stimulus is signed. Oh my goodness. Yes. And so that is why he is currently in Europe today. And he will be signing into law the global minimum corporate tax rate of 15% before fourth stimulus becomes law to anchor fourth stimulus over the finish line. Now he won't have to worry about any issues about fourth stimulus. This is mind-blowingly wonderful. And I was shocked. It was a great move by the president. And there you go. So to recap now where we are on fourth stimulus, before we go into the third part of this video about giving you the third update about fourth stimulus, currently in recon, currently being marked up, the bill, currently being drafted. We got that confirmation yesterday. Finishing July 4th, all Democrats, including Sinema and Manchin, on board. And the president is absolutely content with any inclusion of stimulus checks. There you go. And I'm talking about, you're talking about, the president's talking about, the Senate's talking about, the House is talking about. The only people that aren't talking about are the people who are not giving it to you. There you go. Wow. Now, in the second half of this video, I have more about that and the fifth stimulus that heats up this fall and the breaking economic data this morning. Oh boy, that is shocking. You're going to be shocked by that news. But first, I have more great news for you. It's the volunteers. If you're having problems finding rent, utilities, or mortgage assistance, reach out to the volunteers. They embody the true spirit of this channel, helping one another. I'm not just a person who sits here and reads a script. I don't do that. I've never done that. I get people money, and I've gotten people a lot of money, and I continue to get people, and desire to continue to get people money. I got people $25 million when this channel launched. EIDL loans that were held up at SBA. I got them pushed through and passed. Why? because it was important to save their homes, their businesses, and their employees' homes, and I got it. And then the fall of 2020, people needed rent because they were going into December. They had no money for food. I got them that money because second stimulus wasn't coming out. Well, now the volunteers are embodying that spirit. They understand fourth stimulus checks have not yet gone out, and they're trying to help you get that money. If you've tried to get rent and utilities and food and you can't find it, reach out to the volunteers. They embody the spirit. Go to the description of this video. Open the description. Go to where there's an emoji of a house. Lower on the page, go to emoji of the house. Click on that link that sends you to news.la.com/community. There you'll see a picture of some kitty cats. They're not the volunteers. Lower. They're the volunteers. Reach out to them. They'll help you get that money. And I will be back in 60 seconds with you with more exciting details about fourth and fifth stimulus. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals. Reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the excitement continues right now on Afternoons LA, which may be a little bit more extended in running time today because there's a lot of breaking news that impacts fourth and fifth stimulus. I have the major economic news that came out this morning, 2 items, and one is shocking, a number we've not seen in nearly 30 years. I'll be going over that data in a second. We'll be going over more about fifth stimulus, fourth stimulus calling the vote, and my personal message about it. But first, subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record for a reason. You're not going to see this breadth of coverage from Wall Street to Main Street anywhere else. We're cashing checks. We are cashing checks on this channel, not tracking checks. So subscribe. I want you part of this family. Also, like this video. 2,000-3,000 likes. Hit that like right now if you're in the live chat or watching this video later in the day. And consider becoming a member. The link's at the top of the chat and in the pinned comment. More about membership in just a second. Let's cut right to fifth stimulus, but first let's understand something that's important to understand before I go right into fifth stimulus, which involves reforming the benefit system. The President of the United States in the last 24 hours announced that in his new budget bill, which is not a stimulus package covered in this channel, it's something else, he is dedicating $1 billion to reforming the benefits systems administration. That's not money to you, but what it is, it will enable the administration to have processes, computers, and staffing to get things to you faster, quicker, and easier. So we're going to go right into fifth stimulus right now and talking about money going to you. This money would come faster and easier to you. Remember, early in the fourth stimulus, I told you that if you're on benefits, you get a fourth stimulus check in addition to fifth stimulus. So what's important to know is he's trying to make it easier for you to get that money. If you're with me in January, you saw those waves of third stimulus checks for beneficiaries. That's going to go away. Oh, and here's another surprise. When those 7 House Democrats wrote the president a letter, that you heard early in this broadcast, saying that they're going to put 4 stimulus checks in there, they also said they're going to put 5th stimulus checks. Oh, yes. All right, let's now get to 5th stimulus and talk about that reform of the benefit system. They're going to reform the benefit system by raising up benefit levels, removing the asset limits, and then removing the income, and then adding an inflationary benchmark. They're going to remove the income exclusion and then remove the marriage penalty. All right, let me go over all the details on how this works. Fifth stimulus heats up this fall as part of another reconciliation process. That reconciliation process will first raise up your benefits. Who's you? You. So if you're on SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, veterans benefits, SSA or multiple benefits, as one viewer asked, yes, multiple benefits, they'll all be raised up one big time. Then they'll apply a benchmark, which will newly be inflation. It's currently COLA, doesn't move. It's not going to be CPIE, which Elizabeth Warren proposed. That would have given you a lot less money. It's going to be inflation. You're going to see in a second with the new economic data that came out today that the inflation rate is absolutely going through the roof. And that is good for beneficiaries because the way the benchmark works is they step you up first, and then they first raise you up under the fifth stimulus, and then they apply the benchmark in December. Let's choose a number. Let's say it's 6% inflation. Then you would step up 6%, but not just for next year. A lifetime, because the way benefits works is they step you up. They never step you down. So if the inflation rate next year is 0%, you're always at plus 6% lifetime. That's why it's really critical to get fifth stimulus passed now, when inflation is expected to be the highest rate of a generation. Next, they're going to remove the asset cap that prevents you from having $3,000 on hand. Time to get rid of that, just in time to get those stimulus checks in hand. They're going to remove the income cap that prevents you from working. Now you'll be able to work and still stay on benefits, and they're going to remove the marriage penalty. Love is going to win, and you will be able to marry your longtime love interest. You will be able to marry your longtime love interest and not fear losing benefits. We had two viewers, Rob and Sandy, who jumped into the live chat yesterday, who want to get married, but they don't want to lose their benefits, and the removal of that marriage penalty would enable them to get married and not lose their benefits. And there you go. That's fifth stimulus. But what's really important to know is that fifth stimulus has a lot of other things in there. And there's a lot of other things in fourth stimulus. And there's a lot of money for you in third stimulus. That is application based. That is yours to get. It's for you. Thousands and thousands of dollars, but you don't know what it is unless you subscribe, unless you become a member. Members are delivered by me every day a breakdown of what it's in the fifth and fourth and third stimulus. And when you get that list from me every day via the YouTube channel community page, I send you the breakdown. For example, there's thousands of dollars still for you under third stimulus. A lot of the viewers of this channel. There is money under fifth stimulus for seniors. There is money in fifth stimulus for hazard pay for single individuals. So consider becoming a member. The link's at the top of the chat and the pinned comment. All right, now let's cut to the economic data that came today. This is breaking news. It impacts fourth and fifth stimulus, but really fifth stimulus. And then we'll be going over what's going on with Wall Street and the meme stocks, which is a very big issue, which I can't leave unsettled. And then we'll be going over fourth stimulus, calling the vote, and my message about fourth stimulus. A lot of stuff to still cover. First, economic data that came out this morning. Oh boy, let's just cut to the chase. CPI, I told you the number was coming out. Consumer Price Index. It is the highest number in 30 years. What does that mean for us? It is a number that gauges growth. What is CPI? It looks at the price of food, energy, groceries, housing, and looks at how much the number was in the month of May. So they give you a new number every month. This is a May number. How much was food in the month of May? So they give you a new number in the month of May. We compare it to the month of April. Pretty easy. And then we compare it to May of last year. Okay, so how high was the number? The number had the highest annual growth in 30 years. But the last time we had a number that high was right before we started the recession in the United States that caused the highest recession since the Great Depression of 2008. Now, hold it up. I don't want you to get nervous. I don't want you to think that's bad news. In a strange way, first, it's insanely great news for my beneficiaries. Remember, I told you in December that that the benchmark would be inflation. This inflation number is getting higher by the minute. I told you it's not 2%. I told you 3 to 7%. And I told you that Jeremy Siegel said maybe 20%. Maybe he's right now, because we're going really high on this inflation number. That's the first thing to know. You want the number high if you're on benefits in December, because the number everyone is saying is not going to stay that way next year. It's just going to be temporary. There's a term that Wall Street uses, that analysts uses, the Federal Reserve uses, and I'm going to start using. It's called transitory. It means temporary. It means part-time, just for a short period of time. It's going to be short-term. They all think that this inflation number through the roof is transitory. It's going to be part-time. Well, we're opportunistic here on this channel. We want the number high in December when they apply your benefits, because once they step you up, they never step you down. And then after that, once they apply it, then the inflation number can drop down. You can drop down back to 2% next year, but we want a massive inflation number when they apply your benefits in December. So this is insanely great news for you. Now, on the other hand, why is this number so high? Nothing you should be worried about. That's also good news. The number is high because of what they call distribution chain disruption, meaning they can't get things from the port to the trucks, from the trucks to the stores. Starbucks announced today they can't get cups in stores. They can't get products. There is a big backlog, and it's not labor, it's just everything. The ports are backed up. They don't have containers at the ports. They don't have trucks at the port. They have a lot of problems in the whole distribution channel. It is not just a labor problem. So that is why used cars in the last 30 days went up 7% in 30 days. And in 1 year, used cars have gone up 30%. Yes, but they don't expect that number, which is the highest move since 2009, to stay in place. So that is great news for my fifth stimulus. Not really on point for fourth stimulus. For fourth stimulus, we had the new labor number this morning. You know, it's always Thursday morning, the new jobless numbers. Well, it showed we had 9,000 less new jobless claims, which is almost the same number, 376. I like that for fourth stimulus. Why? Because any moderate Democrat will look at it and say, well, we're still having jobless claims. We're still 376. Before the pandemic, we were 254. We're still not at pre-pandemic levels for unemployment. New unemployment claims. These aren't people who were unemployed and are unemployed. These are brand new unemployed people. Moreover, the continuing unemployment claim is still 3.5 million. So we improved about 250,000, but we still have room to go. So that's all good for fourth stimulus. That's all good for fourth and really good for fifth. All right, now let's go back to calling the vote. Calling the vote is very important to understand for the fourth stimulus package. There's 9 steps to it. Step 1, the House calls the procedural bill. Step 2, the House votes on the procedural bill. Step 3, the Senate votes on the procedural bill. Step 4, the President signs the procedural bill. At that point, the tow truck has passed over the finish line. Now time to do the substantive bill. Early in this video, I told you they're working on the language, marking up the bill. That's what they're doing right now. Step 5 is when they would vote in the subcommittees of the House about that legislation. They can put stimulus checks in at that point or can choose not to. Step 6, the House votes on the substantive bill. Step 7 and 8, the Vote-A-Rama 2-day event in which the senators modify by amendment anything that's given to them from the House. So if the House doesn't give them stimulus checks, the senators can put them in there. If the House does give them stimulus checks, the senators can modify it or leave it alone. And then step 9, the president signs into law. Finally, before a personal message about fourth stimulus, let me tell you one major developing detail. The SEC chairman and the SEC regulates how people buy and sell cryptocurrency and stocks came out in a shocking news interview yesterday and said a lot of things. But my takeaway, this is my personal opinion, is that the investors in the meme stocks are going to see a shocking debacle, and it's going to end very badly. I'm going to tell you why. Many analysts are now talking about that they believe that there are criminal elements jumping into certain chat rooms to drive stocks up, these meme stocks up, so that they can profit on it by big players with big positions to try to get these stocks up and profiting. It's an old sort of pyramid-ish scheme that is nothing new. Getting major people to buy into something you're pitching and then riding it up and then selling it. And many think that's going to end very badly. So be on the big alert for that. I do not want you to think that meme stocks is normal investing. It is not. All right, now let's cut back to my personal message about fourth stimulus. It's very important to understand that fourth stimulus is front page news now, but needs to be even more so. The president says, fine with stimulus checks. The House Democrats and the Senate Democrats are talking about fourth stimulus. The only people not talking about stimulus checks are Republicans and Republican press. They don't want to talk about it because Republicans are not involved in giving you these stimulus checks. But you've been doing a good job pushing on social media. But every day when I go on to social media at the start of the day, I see what I saw from the day before. And I saw less than maybe 20 tweets where I was tagged on stimulus checks. You gotta do more. I've seen some people drop in the comments say, "I'm very hopeful. I'm crossing my fingers." Get the fingers and cross. Get those fingers and cross and go on social media and start tweeting. I know a lot of the viewers are new viewers who weren't viewers with me last year. My viewers really push. You need to share these videos on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, or start your own tweet, or your own campaign, or your own meme. Hashtag MSC, hashtag Purple Power, and tag me so I see them. You have to be pushing. You cannot take anything for granted from any legislators. The president has passed third stimulus that provides you money, and a lot of people have never seen that money. The Democrats proposed legislation, wrote legislation, introduced bills and never called it to vote. They proposed legislation and never wrote it to bill format. And they proposed legislation and never got past the proposal. So you can't take anything for granted from anyone. And the time to push is now, not after you see the legislation. So with that, let's go over where we are on fourth stimulus. The Democrat caucus is aligned. Everyone's on board to pass this fourth stimulus. Number two, the negotiations have effectively ended, and they have no part of the whole scheme of passing the legislation. Number three, the legislation will be passed by July 4th. Number four, the senators can modify anything that is given to them in the final 48 hours. So, do we know what's in that? Do we see a vase yet? That fourth stimulus package? No. The vase is still at the glass blower. Until that glass comes out of the oven, we don't see a vase, nor can we see what's in there. Is it in there? It's not in there. We can't say that yet because there is no vase. And once we see the vase from the House, there may or may not be stimulus checks in there. No worry, because ultimately the senators, when they get the vase, can blow it differently and put those stimulus checks in there. But you need to push. And with that, thank you for joining me on Extended Afternoons LA broadcast. I'm next back with you with Evenings LA, potentially on air live today, either taped or live. But it is filmed, of course, today. And with that, stay informed, stay focused. I don't want you to miss a single video across the board. Make sure you subscribe. Also, like this video. And consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Calcino VIP. Stay informed, stay focused. Have a beautiful afternoon, and stay with LA for more.